Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be taking a look at my sleep system that I use when I'm out backpacking and wild camping. So before we get into looking at my sleeping bags, which are all down sleeping bags, I'll just talk a little bit about the measurements that you'll see on a down sleeping bag. You'll have fill power and fill weight. Now fill power is just an indication of the quality of the down and how well it lofts. So as down lofts, it traps in warm air, and that's what keeps you warm. So the measure is on an ounce by ounce basis. So for example, an ounce of 450 fill down will say loft to that much. An ounce of 900 fill down will loft to double the height. You know, it's the same weight but much warmer, twice as warm in theory. So fill power is just a measurement of loft and quality of the down. And fill weight is just how much of that particular fill power down is in the sleeping bag. So yeah, hopefully that's straightforward to understand. It is a little bit complicated, but I guess most people are just interested in the temperature ratings on the bag, which we'll look at on each specific bag. So I've got all the bags laid out here. Now these are the 3 bags that I use throughout the year. So during the warmer months I use this Mountain Equipment Helium 250. In the shoulder seasons I've got a Rab Alpine 400, and then in the winter I'll start to use my Rab Ascent 700. So let's have a look at my summer bag. So I've been using this since I've done the West Highland Way in the end of April. The temperatures on the evening were around 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, so this bag was, you know, more than capable of dealing with those temperatures. So this is a really high quality bag. It's got 700 plus fill power down in, so pretty decent quality down. Now the temperature ratings, most people are just going to look straight at these. Now you've got comfort and limit of comfort. They say if you're a woman you want to pay more attention to the comfort rating, because women tend to sleep colder than men, and if you're a man you probably want to pay more attention to the limit of comfort. For example, on this bag the comfort rating is 8 degrees Celsius and the limit of comfort is 3 degrees Celsius. Now they do have an extreme risk range of -11, which basically means it might keep you alive for half an hour at -11 before you die. So I really don't pay any attention to these kind of extreme temperature limits. Yeah, so to make things even more complicated, most manufacturers have their own reading as well. These are based on, is it the EN or the ISO kind of global standard for temperature ratings, but they do their own in-house testings. For example, Mountain Equipment have a good night's sleep recommendation. So this is categorized as a 1 degree Celsius bag, so just above freezing. I would say that might be a little optimistic, but then again it depends on a lot of factors which we'll come to as we go through the video. But I definitely recommend this bag if you're looking for a really kind of packable, lightweight, high quality down bag that's going to get you through 6 months of wild camping in the warmer months in the UK. Now, as with all of these down bags, you get a kind of a big sack to store it in. Mountain Equipment ones come in these nice tube shaped ones, because you don't really want to store a down bag in its transportation bag, because you just kind of crush the down and it affects its loft in the future. So this one comes with a nice waterproof roll top bag. Now I'll just pack it away in this and I'll give you an idea of how small it packs down to. One of the advantages of down over synthetic material is that it compresses much more easily. I've got a couple of big winter synthetic bags and they're an absolute nightmare to get back into the stuff sacks. You just don't really have that problem with down. So that's all packed up nice and compact. I mean, if you're just out in the summer and you've got a 40-45 litre backpack, you're easily going to fit this in. For 675 grams, it'll keep you warm down, you know, maybe it's 1, 2, 3 degrees. So I can definitely recommend that little bag. So next up is the sleeping bag I took to Iceland with me, which is the Rab Alpine 400. So this has 400 grams of 650 fill power down. I'll read the temperature ratings. Extreme is -25, limit of comfort is -7, and the comfort is -1. But then Rab have their own kind of in-house system, and they claim that this will keep you warm down to -5 easily enough. Now again, this is a high quality down bag, and the best thing about it, it weighs just 840 grams. So I think it's a really good option for, you know, people who wild camp in the UK, you know, throughout the entire year. You might say it's a 3-season bag, but you can, you know, keep your jacket on in the coldest months and have a really good quality lightweight bag. Now it is an Alpine fit, so it's kind of pretty wide on the body and it tapers in at the hips, so the legs are quite narrow. I'm guessing that's how they save most of the weight, but I don't find it uncomfortable at all. It's a good bag. It's got an anti-snag zip, which I think all the Rab bags come with these days, even on the Ascent range, which works pretty well. And then it's just got your standard features, your shoulder baffle, drawstring for the hood. It's got a little pocket just inside. So yeah, another good quality sleeping bag. I'll probably start to use that now actually, as it's starting to get a little bit colder as we move on into October. So next up is my winter sleeping bag. So this is the bag that I use throughout the winter months. It's the Rab Ascent 700, very popular bag. It's since been updated with the anti-snag zip, I think, by Rab. So I'll just read out the temperature ratings. So you've got the extreme is -27, limit of comfort -8.5, and the comfort is -2. And then Rab's own sleep limit is -12. The bag has got 700 grams of 650 fill power down, and the weight is 1,290 grams. So it's a warm bag. Some people say it's a 3-season bag. I guess Rab would probably categorise it as 3-season themselves, but for me it works all the way throughout the year. Now it's quite different to the other 2 bags I've got, because it's a much more of a relaxed fit. There's plenty of room in this bag to kind of wear extra clothes. You know, that's why I bought the 700 instead of the 900 or the 1100, because it's you know, it's lighter, and if you're out in the depths of winter, you're always going to be carrying, you know, extra layers with you, and you can simply just sleep in those extra layers. Although I don't really like to do that. I like to, you know, just get out in my boxer shorts and a t-shirt. But in the winter, you know, you just make use of the extra layers that you have with you. So before we look at the sleeping mats, I'll just talk a little bit about the down that they put in these bags. For years people have advised against using down sleeping bags, or down jackets even, because when down gets wet and it's untreated, it loses its thermal properties. So what they used to do when they harvested down, they would wash all the natural oils from the down, because it would attract bacteria and it doesn't smell very nice. So what the likes of Rab do, they wash the down and then they retreat it with nick wax, and they call it hydrophobic down. So you don't really have to worry too much about just kind of like atmospheric moisture these days, or condensation in the tent. Mountain equipment don't use that technique on the helium range. What they do is just put the down inside a bag with a DWR, durable water repellent coating, so the down just doesn't get wet. But saying that, I've got an old bag with me here, which is an old school down bag which I've had for about 12 years. This doesn't have a DWR coating, it doesn't have hydrophobic down, and I've used it in Scotland I've lost count of the amount of times I've used it. It's been canoeing with me, it's been shoved in motorcycle panniers. I still use it up here in the woods during the warmer months, and I'm guessing it's got damp, but it's never really lost any of its thermal properties. So I don't think it's much of an issue for most people who you tend to put your sleeping bag, whether it's synthetic or down, in a waterproof dry bag anyway, and as long as you look after it like that, it's not really a worry anymore. So once you've found your perfect sleeping bag to get you through those chilly nights when you're wild camping, you're going to need to start thinking about a really good thermal insulated mat. So when you're looking at sleeping bags and you're talking about the loft, which captures in your body heat and stops you from getting cold and losing the heat upwards, what sleeping bags don't do, whether they're down or synthetic, is stop cold from the ground coming up, because the insulation, the loft, is completely compressed, so it's near useless. So what you need to do is put a barrier between yourself and the cold ground. Even in the middle of summer, it could be 30 degrees during the day, but on the night the ground is cold, and in the winter it's even more cold, so you need something with quite a bit of insulation. Now I use two separate sleeping bags. I've got a summer one, which is the X-Bed Hyperlight sign mat, 7 centimeters thick, rated down to -6, but it's good down to about 2 or 3 degrees. Now I've got the X-Bed sign mat Hyperlight Winter, long and wide, and this is rated down to -20, and this is good enough to see you through all the conditions that you're going to experience in a British winter. So I've just got the winter mat blown up here. Now you don't have to waste any lung power with these X-Bed mats because they come with these schnozzle bags. You just fill it with air and fill the mat up that way. So this one, it's the long wide version, so it's 197 centimeters long, 65 centimeters wide across the shoulder, and it's 9 centimeters thick. The R value I think is 4.8 or 4.9, so it's rated down to -20. Now how they do that is they kind of glue insulation onto the top and at the bottom of the mat, so when you pump it up the insulation expands and it stops the cold coming up from the ground, and it stops you losing too much heat into the ground as well. Now if you don't have a dedicated winter mat, you can kind of bolster your normal mat by putting something underneath it and just creating another layer of separation and insulation from the ground. You can use these cheap foil mats. This one's from eBay, cost me about $4.99. Or you can get a foam mat. You can get thin ones. I think this is about 1.5 centimeters wide. You can get thicker ones, you know, and you can kind of just bolster the temperature of your mat a little bit for the colder months. Or if you do have a full winter mat like this one, you can still put it on top of these 2 extra layers and you know, guarantee yourself a really warm, comfortable night. Now I'd say that what you're sleeping on is more important than what you're sleeping in. If you've got a really cold mat, if it's a summer rated mat and you're camping in winter with a -25 bag, believe you me, you are going to feel the cold coming up from underneath. I would rather use this mat system here in my summer bag than an uninsulated mat with a really big heavy winter bag. So it's definitely important. Do not neglect your mat that you're sleeping on when you're putting together a sleep system. So I also use a sleeping bag liner when I'm out camping. Now I think that these might increase the temperature rating of your bag by about 1 degree, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But what they do is keep your sleeping bag clean. You don't really want to be washing a down sleeping bag, so if you put one of these in every time, it'll just you know, kind of prolong the life of the bag. You can pick these polycotton ones up for about a tenner, or you can get yourself a silk liner. These are fairly pricey, but they're dead lightweight and they're packed down pretty small. So yeah, a worthwhile investment. So that's it. That's a look at my sleep systems. It's not really a sleep system. It's quite interchangeable, but this stuff gets me through 12 months of wild camping here in the UK, from summer all the way through to winter. The gear is not too heavy, it's comfortable and it's warm. So yeah, so thanks for watching. I hope you found something useful in the video, and I'll catch up with you again in the next one.